Hello, this is Occult Priestess Reverend Corinne. You are listening to Occult Priestess Radio. I've been doing some new research lately. I've been told by many psychics throughout my lifetime that my sleep paralysis was caused by a curse on my family bloodline, and that something like the sins of the father are visited upon the son. And that someone in my family history was a witch and made a deal with the devil, and all kinds of wonderful fantasy. So, of course, being born a skeptic and somewhat of a scientist, I went into my sleep paralysis to try to figure it out. At age 30, I had a spiritual awakening, spiritual emergence. My Kundalini came online. Thank you, Thoth, for helping me with my Kundalini machine. At 30, certain parts of my body started hurting. By age 34, my back was completely out. And the doctor discovered through x-rays that I had 2 slip discs in my back. And he's like, "What happened to you? This is a blunt trauma. This had to have happened in a moment." And I said, "No, this happened over a long period of time. I had been sore for years. It was just soreness. It was not that big of a deal. I figured I just sat at my computer too much. And, eventually it came to the point where I could not get out of bed." And I'm doing a lot of research, like I said. I just watched a Project CAMELOT interview, and he said he was in chronic pain for many years due to fibromyalgia, that he had to literally crawl out of bed in great pain to get to the bathroom and back for a very long period of time. And so that resonated with me. I was like, I'm still having my back issues. I get out dancing once or twice a month, and we wouldn't even call it dancing. I am very immobile, and I'm a spiritual being. I'm a light worker, and I want to be out there, and it's very frustrating for me. So I get these questions. Why did I have sleep paralysis for so long with a dark shadow boogeyman? I still have sleep paralysis, but I can handle it. And why has my back been out for 5 years? Why have I had to go through all of this physical suffering and mental suffering, torture, pain, all of these things? Why? And the only answers I ever get are karma. You had some bad lives, so you've got to pay some prices. What Hermes told me, which does not resonate with what other people have told me, Hermes says, "You have not incarnated in a very long time. The game rules have changed since you have incarnated. Therefore, there is karma to pay off because you need to catch up with everyone else." So with the rule change, the karma changed, and I had to do that karma. Also, Hermes tells me things were so very difficult for me because I wanted to learn the lesson of dominion. And that is specifically the Dominion card in the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck. I still haven't figured that out completely, but then again, I'm here to learn it, so I don't look forward to figuring that out in its complete entirety anytime soon. Although Dominion does go back to the sleep paralysis, being paralyzed by something that isn't you, feeling controlled by something that isn't you. And this has happened to me a lot in my life. I am easily led and easily hypnotized, and I trust and believe people. I have intact my innocence, and that is something that gets me into trouble sometimes with the wrong people. So taking into consideration that there was a witch in my family and I have a family curse, taking into consideration that my grandmother, Evelyn Fay, is the sister of, well, she's passed, but she was the sister of Senator and astronaut John Glenn. And So I have family ties. Spirit, loving Spirit, Yeshua, Spirit has informed me that I am Illuminati, and I've also been informed that it has nothing to do with Bohemian Grove or John Glenn or my family bloodline or witches' curses. It has to do with the Great White Lodge, the Great White Brotherhood of Ascended Masters. It's really not earthy at all. And I would like to reclaim the Illuminati word. It means illuminated. Why in the heck would you name your popular Satan of the day after something that is beautiful? It's so dichotomous. It's so 3D. Really. Really. So anyway, Illuminati is my pride word, and I proudly pronounce I am a member of the Illuminati, and more than likely so are you. So doing research and speaking with a spiritual teacher, the opinions still seem to be the same, that there are entities or energies feeding off of my kundalini, feeding off of my negativity, causing me to be more negative, which is a concept I never bought. I never bought, well, as I grew up, around age 14 or whatever, I never bought that there was this big boogeyman after me, and of course I found out I was my own boogeyman. I was the boogeyman after me. And once I flipped that script, once I figured out that trick I was playing on myself, there was no more concern. I was no longer haunting myself with my own shadow. I was looking at my shadow and saying, hey, that's pretty hot. And then I got into it, you know? So I never had a shadow devil. When I was little I did, because I had a boogeyman and all that, but I grew out of it, and I understood that these things are fiction. And now that I'm older, there are adults, responsible, reliable adults, telling me that these things are not fiction. And the thing that really set me off was I did a channeling yesterday. I was speaking with my higher self. I wanted to get all my spirit guides out of the way and just talk to myself, my higher self, with love, and ask her some questions like, hey, what's up with that? And I found myself in a chain, a line of ascended selves. I would say maybe 5th level higher self. I did not know the higher self had different levels. I was speaking clearly with level 2 higher self. She actually labeled herself level 2. And we were blending in level 4 and 5. Level 4 to me was blue. Level 5 was violet. I don't know what that means yet, but that's what it was. And as I began to ask her questions, she's like, I really don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see that happen to you. And I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. My higher self isn't with me at all times, knowing me, feeling me. And she said, no, I'm sorry. And she is sorry, very sincerely. However, the way my life script needed to play out, she was left in the dark. And the way she put it was, there are certain rooms I cannot get into. There are certain rooms I do not have access to. Rooms, memory banks, or experiences that I had. Which is very new information to me. So it seemed as if the higher levels of the higher self, above level 2, understood more of my story and more of my questions. And the higher I went, the more answers I got. But also what I found out was the higher selves were not all in communication at the same time. And to me that manifested as higher self number 2 in an apartment on the astral realm, sending an email to higher self 4 and 5, and having data in that email. Then going upward and seeing that higher self, 4 or 5, reading the email, getting the information, and then sending forth the information to the higher self above that one. So it was like a very interesting game of telephone. So I saw them using the email for each other as a visual. I'm sure it's symbolic, but that's the way they communicate with me. So I sent my own email full of questions, and I just basically packaged it up like a download in my mind and said, here's all this energy of all these questions that I have, and sent it up to the highest level I could. And then level number 2 starts looking at it, and she says that, I mean, I watch her look over it, and her eyes just get really big. And I see on her screen there are just lines and lines of what look like legalese. It looks like contracts, and each line had a different contract on it, and these were pages and pages of lines. And so she says that she looked over the record of my implants and unjust, void contracts I was still being held accountable for. And then I swear, and you know, I'm trying to trust spirit, I'm trying to hear, know, see, and not worry about how crazy I might be. So I heard, it's over. We have enough here to put the Draconians away for a long time. Draconians is not really a part of my language. I understand that part of my soul essence is from Sirius. I understand there are many aliens. Yet when we get into war in any culture, be it alien, be it Nordic, Celtic, any of the war stuff, even in the Hindu, I stay away from it. It's hard for me. I haven't read the entire Bhagavad Gita because there's a war in it. I can't stand war. And so that really stunts my research into things such as Draconians, reptilians, and all of these warring races. And so I was here now trying to speak with Hermes about why would a higher self say Draconians. I do not believe this is part of my story, my script, or my work. So I usually come here to YouTube with answers, and now I have questions. I am watching Project CAMELOT, interviewing ASHAYANA DEANE. I don't know her name, but I will link it below. And she talks about Draconians, and I know there's plenty of people out there who talk about Draconians, and I know I've seen videos on it, and I just, you know, blew it off like whatever, no big deal. I don't understand this stuff. Evil is an invention for this plane of reality so that we can have duality. Evil does not truly exist. It's not real, and war isn't real, and none of this, it's all fiction. And, you know, in a Buddhist sense, everything's fiction, and I get that, but I don't think war helps me grow, and I don't think darkness helps me grow. I need to be enlightened, and I don't want to look at all this Draconian stuff as Star Wars, as, I don't want to see it as our past. If it is, it is. And I don't see it as my personal past. I think that my spiritual family is beyond this third dimension, and I don't have a lot of ties here. And I don't have a lot of ties to the history except for the early history. So if you have answers why Draconians would be, or Greys, because I have seen Greys in my dreams, why they would be anywhere near my Kundalini, anywhere near my energy, and why I would have contracts I'm being held to that are null and void, and why my higher self would mention Draconian when I am Illuminati. Thanks, guys. Let the conspiracy theories fly. I'm ready for it. Okay. Namaste. Blessed be.